Okay, then, are you ready? We will talk about a very important topic, as it was already introduced. We're talking about mental health, and we are talking about how we can actually take better care of ourselves. And I'm a psychologist by background. You cannot really, the slides are a little bit missing the end part of the presentation, but it's fine. But I'm a child psychologist by background, and I will not discuss very long what it means. Essentially, what is my greatest wish is that all of us would become our own best friends, that we would understand ourselves, that we know what is going on inside of us, that we actually want to take this adventure to our internal self and explore and understand ourselves better. Because otherwise, sometimes we tend to be on this kind of, maybe you've heard, on this autopilot, and we think that maybe just some problems go away if we don't think about them too much, and maybe they just disappear. But this is not how life goes. Unfortunately, like we saw during the surprise also, that sometimes there's lightning, sometimes there are all kinds of different chaoses that might appear. So we need to be ready for those things. We need to understand ourselves good enough that we can cope with some difficulties or some lightning until the wonderful sun and warm weather comes out. And this is what psychologists are doing, right? That we try to help people understand themselves better. And I have been taking this one step further as a psychologist. I do have a PhD from the University of Helsinki. I've done some clinical work, but I always want to reach as many people as possible, that we all have those skills in order to take care of ourselves. So now at Triumf Health, what we are doing is that we are providing psychological support to kids through a game environment. So it's an algorithm-based thing that no adult needs to do anything. It's only for kids that they play and get this psychological support in a way that is actually fun, that we are adventurous about what is happening on the inside, and we are eager to explore, know more, learn more about ourselves, but also about others. Because sometimes even if we know ourselves really good, then we still don't get, nobody can read minds unless someone is telling me that they can. But all in all, usually we can't read other people's minds. But there are still some signs and some things what we can look for and how we can take care of not only ourselves but also others. So we do all of this through a game environment, but this is not the, I will not go further into those details. You can just download Triumph Hero, for example, if you would like to try it out. It's free for everyone, and it's just the very, very first step in going on this mental health journey. Because like it was said in the introduction, that when we want to contribute to a society or when we want to do good, then we need to have willpower in order to do that. We need to have this motivation. And the thing is that motivation itself is not an eternal resource. We will not have it forever just magically. We need to do something in order to keep the motivation and sometimes get more motivation externally. And the main thing is that we need to somehow always have this will, even if it's super difficult to have it sometimes. So we really need to understand the whole spectrum or the whole full circle that happens on the inside of each one of us. Because mental health journey, if there is one thing that you remember from this talk, is that it's absolutely individual. What works for me might not work for you. What works for your friend might not work for you. But the main thing is that we do something, that we try to to understand ourselves better and understand those emotions that are flowing inside of us. There are some researchers, by the way, who have said that human being is able to feel more than 30,000 different emotions. 30,000. 30,000. So many emotions. And like it's near impossible to put a label on those, like what is actually going on inside of me. And if we don't understand the emotions and how we're actually feeling, then it's incredibly difficult to regulate those, like to stop. Like all emotions are normal. There are no good or bad emotions. All emotions are absolutely normal and needed. We need to feel emotions. But what we fail sometimes is to regulate those emotions. And sometimes, for example, when we feel anger, we might become aggressive. And this is something that we should never do harm to ourselves or to others. And it's a matter of learning how we can deal with our lives in that way, that anger or some emotions that we sometimes think that are negative, that we don't act upon those in a way that might harm others. So then we are more caring towards others, because that sometimes it happens that when we don't understand ourselves that much, we don't get what others are feeling, we might get a little negative. We tend to judge others. We tend to think that something is definitely wrong, and we lose this ability, that this is a beautiful ability that everyone has, and this is empathy, to actually be more caring towards others. And this can only happen when we first know ourselves and then also others. And we need to know how to actually take care of ourselves, because especially what has happened in Estonia is that when I was your age, nobody was talking about mental health. I've been in the field now for 15 years, and only now it's normal that we talk about it. We know, or majority of people know already what mental health is. Some don't, and it's okay. You'll figure it out. But we don't have those skills yet, like what to do then, that we understand that yes, it's important, take care of yourself, go on a self-care journey, and then we don't really know what it means and how to do it. But pro tip is that it's actually easy. There are some very simple things to start from that anyone can do, and I will talk about those things shortly. But why we should really be knowledgeable of what is happening on the inside, to be caring towards others, to actually take care of ourselves and others, is because over the past years, it hasn't been easy for anyone really. That everything that has been happening globally, starting from the pandemic, the global warming, all kinds of different environmental issues, and now war, it's not really sunny outside if we think about everything that is happening in the world. And it's quite tricky to just say that I'm very happy about everything that is going on and I'm doing good and I don't have any stress. Statistics show that kids and youth also have been hit the hardest with everything that has been going on over the recent years, and don't have those skills yet, like coping skills yet, to actually get by or cope or be resilient towards everything crazy that is happening in the world. So there are a couple of things that are getting increasingly common. So if you felt any of those things, it's okay. You're not alone, first and foremost. And also there is a way out of every darkness that is out there. It tends to be, like it said, that it's darkest before the dawn. Right before it gets brighter, it's pitch black. But it gets better, and nothing is permanent. Everything is changing. So hopelessness, for example, if you feel, so what youth young people quite often say is that, you know, it doesn't really matter what I do because it gets worse. Like I can do all kinds of different things, but still pandemic, global warming, war, what next? Like it must get worse, that it doesn't, like no matter what I do, no matter how much I contribute, it gets worse. And then this really drives or feeds this hopelessness that at one point you think that why even bother? You feel hopeless, that it doesn't matter what you're doing, that it just does not get any better. But this is a very slippery slope or very difficult path to be in, because first of all, change is always possible, especially if the change happens from the inside. And hopelessness is something that this is a word that also contributes to all kinds of such diagnosis that all of you might have heard of, probably all are familiar with depression and anxiety and different mental health issues. So hopelessness really does feed that, and we need to deal with how we can actually build the confidence and the power within ourselves not to become so frustrated first and then hopeless and not contribute anymore. And the other thing that is sometimes so weird to think about, especially when we had these periods of distance learnings, we still have those, and people are working remotely, and sometimes it means that the whole family is at home. Everyone is in the same place physically, but perhaps not communicating or talking a lot, and especially kids feel lonely. And even if there are so many people, be it at home or at an event all together, that there's still this loneliness that is becoming so common, unfortunately. And the trick here is that, like I said before, is that nobody can really read anyone's mind. And we need to talk about, this is the magic potion of all of it, that when we talk about what is going on with us, when we actually know that we feel lonely, that we talk about it to a trustworthy peer or an adult, and we try to understand that it's okay to feel that, but it's not something that should remain that way, because there is again like way out of that, to feel included and to feel part of a community. And anxiety. I've had, I said that we are delivering psychological support to kids through a game environment that is technological. But technology is also something that is causing a lot of anxiety, because when we are scrolling every day, there are a couple of people scrolling in the audience also, that, it happens. But it means that we just want to get this stimulation all of the time. And when we don't, then we feel anxiety. We don't really know what to do then. Like, it's so common to be like that phone is the extension of the body, right? That it's all the time at hand before going to bed, which we should never do, but we are very often very strong in theory, but still we go to bed with our phone, scroll before we go to sleep, and then just think that, how come I have sleep problems? It's so weird. But this is how it goes, unfortunately. And attention problems goes hand in hand with that. So who has TikTok here? Not too many. I'm very happy about it. Or you are trying to say that, no, I don't. But for me, this is so incredibly intrusive platform that immediately when you open it, you already have like stuff going on, so you cannot control it whatsoever. For me, it's quite difficult to handle, but it's also, statistics say that because of those platforms that give you very quick information, that people can hold their attention for 2.1 seconds. 2.1 seconds. I need to talk here for 30 minutes, and I'm praying that you can listen to me for that long, because it is really, you don't have to be diagnosed with ADHD, which is the attention deficit issue, common disorder among children, but attention problem in general doesn't really matter if you're a child, an adult, anyone who is used to getting this high stimulation, all the time new information, then try to be in a lecture hall for 2 straight days, or go to school and have those very long hours when your mind tends to wander off immediately when you don't get this high reward and high intensity environment. So what I would suggest is to those of you who are scrolling, then don't, at least during this talk. Because if we ignore everything that is happening within ourselves, then that's the lack of motivation on a picture that I really don't want to do anything. And like I said, that everything just tends to get worse and worse all the time. And if it happens long enough, then we feel like there is no way out. That it is what it is. Like I'm special that way. That this is how I am, and I don't think that it's possible to do anything in order to improve the situation. But also I don't know if you have heard it in schools, or if, adults tend to say all the time that, if you want any change, you need to start from yourself. Sometimes it seems weird, like, no, I want to fix all kinds of different problems. There are so many things happening in the society that need to be fixed. Like, why is everyone telling to change from within? But this is like pro tip. It's actually true that we need to start from ourselves, because then, like, if we are more caring towards others, more considerate towards others, then it inspires also others, the community, the rest of the people, that we're not so negative towards each other, and we're not so hopeless as a society. But we feel like there is, at least, even if we don't see the light in the end of the tunnel, then at least we see that in the tunnel there are some stars, or we saw this lightning before, right? That there is some light, even though if there is the end seems to be not that bright. But also sometimes it's very easy not to think about what is in the end of the road, but just focus on the journey, right? Focus on those little stars that might be in the tunnel, because then also it will make a difference for the outside also. And all the really critical problems that are out there that we all wish that wouldn't be there. Nobody was prepared for war. None of us thought that in our lifetimes that this would happen. And also the environmental crisis and everything that is happening. Of course we want to fix it, but we can do only as much. And we can't do really anything if we're not up for it, if we don't feel like it. So how to start is from forming healthy habits. This is the thing that I said in the beginning, that it's very easy to start going on this mental health journey, even though sometimes you think that okay, I know what mental health is, but I have no idea how to take care of it. Then it's not rocket science. It's not that difficult as all of the things that you saw that you see in this building, that sometimes you don't know how they specifically work. They are super exciting, but how they work, I don't know. But with those easy steps, those building blocks that we take care of for our mental health, then we can really be more resilient. So if we think of ourselves like a house, then always we start from, we build the foundation first, and the foundation needs to be strong. And then if a lightning comes, or earthquake, or whatever other thing, then our house, we as humans, like, we can resist that, right? Because it's not always easy in life. Sometimes it does get hard. But if the foundation is right, then we can start building on top of that. Of course, all houses have windows and doors and all kinds of other different things that we also need to build. But the foundation is the most important, because without it, we will collapse. And the foundation is easy. The foundation consists of eating healthy. Always everyone is saying, eat healthy. And we are again strong in theory, but still want to go to McDonald's. But this is no joke. Healthy eating is one of the main things that the food actually gives us energy, not to take it away, right? Because we want to be empowered and we want to be energetic, and for that we need quality food, healthy food. And what goes hand in hand is physical activity. Everyone is saying it all the time, but let's just repeat those most common things, that physical activity, healthy food, what is this meditation? What the sloth is showing here is actually time for yourself. And time for yourself can be anything, really, what you wish. It doesn't have to be specifically meditation, but it means that you are actually with your own thoughts. So when you're bored, then the first thing that you don't do is that you take your phone and start scrolling or doing something to relieve the boredom, but just try it out, like how it actually feels. Like look towards the ceiling and just be bored and see what kind of wonderful creative ideas you might have then. And sleep, of course, very, very important, that we tend to forget. We tend to forget also not to use our phones or not to scroll during the presentations, but also before we go to bed, because we need to have a quality sleep, not only be in bed for a certain amount of hours, but actually sleep and restore our energy and to build up our immune system, because it is very, very important. And those two sloths over there are friends in the corner. And this is the fifth and the last building block of the foundation of mental health. And this is the community, sense of belonging, really having someone that you can trust. It doesn't have to be, it can be anyone. It can be even an animal. I give those mental health talks to kids in schools, and they say that my best friend is my dog. And they are always laughing, like, who has a best friend, who is a dog? But some people might have. So it's just very important that you have someone that you can trust, that you can talk openly about what is going on with you, and get this quality relationship. But you're all here because you really are probably really trying to make a difference, right? You're trying to do something for the society, perhaps, or you are here because you most probably try to be active in the society, and then it is also one thing that we need to balance our usage of brain, because scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or any other place, it also takes those resources. So we have to be very mindful that every single one of us, first of all, has one brain, has mental health, this is true, and we need to be mindful of the resources, what we can use. So when you try to contribute to the society in a meaningful manner, then it's important to not try to fix, for example, the environmental crisis, but set smaller, doable tasks and goals, and not to do it 24/7, but actually take breaks. We all want the world to be a better place, but we can't fix everything immediately. Everything takes time, and sleep in the middle, not only perhaps at night, but also if you need a power nap, then this is a pro tip to do. And like I already said, that the building blocks say that physical activity is more important even than any of the like cognitive games or brain games what we can do, that we just take care of ourselves, eat healthy, have the building blocks, the foundation of our house right, and then we can accomplish anything. So let's try to do one exercise. What do you think of that to ground you? Because this is an important exercise that can always be done, because the trick with all kinds of different visualization and breathing exercises is that nobody else can know that you are doing those. Instead, like, people are thinking that you're just breathing normally, but instead you are focusing on your breathing. So let's do it together. I wish that every one of you would imagine themselves to be a tree. So do find a comfortable position. Just sit in a way that a true tree would sit, and close your eyes if you want to. You don't have to, but imagine that you are a tree. So your roots are growing from your legs. So this is the root system, that they go deeply in the center of the earth, and connect your roots as deeply as you can to the very middle of the earth. The deeper, the better, because when they are very deep, then even if a very strong wind comes, they cannot do anything. It cannot do anything for you. So when you're imagining your very, very deep roots, then take slow, deep breaths. Usually it's 4 seconds in. You can hold your breath, and outside. Breathe very slowly through your nose, out through your mouth. Just focus on your breathing, a breathing tree. And your roots, these are so deeply planted. So pay attention to your body, your trunk, the trunk of the tree. How does it feel? Is it strong and solid? Are your roots so far in the earth that you can actually feel so strong that if a wind comes, then it doesn't do any harm to you? If it isn't strong enough, then just grow deeper roots. So when the wind comes, then your body will feel strong, and the wind will not push your body around. You're super strong, the strongest tree in the world. Your body will feel strong, and whenever you need to think of any life struggle that comes your way, like a wind, then a strong tree can handle anything. It will not break. So you can open your eyes, and don't forget to think of yourself sometimes as a super strong tree with super big roots. And if it gets tougher, grow bigger roots, and just think of that that way, because this is something that helps us ground ourselves. And when we are grounded, when we are more relaxed, when we are more content, then we can see more clearly also, and we know what resources we have. We know what we can and cannot do. And this is the end of my presentation, because I hope that every single one of you will find the will, the super seed in yourself that will make anything possible for you. Because when there is a will, there is a way. Anything can happen if you want to. So do make an impact, and I'm very grateful that almost every one of you were able to handle the talk without scrolling.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I want to ask, when everything that you said
and we grow up in a toxic environment, a toxic atmosphere of things. For instance, if there are a lot of kids who live in a toxic environment or toxic atmosphere, so it might be very hard for them to create a structure of trust. It might be very hard for them to think that there is someone who actually wants to listen to me. So how would you approach to create a trust with a person that has grown up in a place like that? And everything that you showed, you have to eat well and these kind of things, they can become a bad way to express yourself. For instance, an eating disorder or being alone. You can detach from society and become lonely and all of those things. So I just wanted to ask you this.
So I think that this is a very good question, and unfortunately we don't live in an ideal world where everyone is having very wonderful family relations, supportive parents, have access to healthy food and can do stuff for themselves. The environment, of course, has a massive impact, but there is also a way to develop an identity, to develop and achieve our goals, even if the environment is not supportive and even if it is toxic. Because, for example, we have been operational also in Guatemala, where the situation is very different of what we tend to see here in Europe. And even then, when physical violence and going skipping school because you need to go and work when you're very young, then you're still a child. And how can you develop your identity if you are if the environment does not support you, and if you don't trust also adults, because you know that adults can do harm instead of doing good because you are just built that way, or this is the mindset. But there is always a way. There is always a way to find a path to take it step by step. It's not. It doesn't happen such that if you take a person out of this environment that is toxic, that magically everything is healed. It will leave a mark. The body keeps count, if you have heard that. So it takes time. But when we ignore the situation, no matter whether we are coming from toxic backgrounds or healthy backgrounds, then we need to do something for our mental health, and it's sometimes just more difficult considering the environment, and the world is not ideal, that everyone can do everything that I said, but we can all take steps towards that.